Hey everybody, this is Dr. Maples. Welcome back to 5 Minute Sociology. Today we're going to talk about social institutions or simply institutions in the sociological context. We're going to do all the usual things for this series. We're going to define the idea, look into the backstory of it, give some clear examples, and make sure you understand why this idea is important so you can impress your sociology professor. We got a lot to do today, so what do you say we get started? Before we begin, know that at the general sociology level, we feel perfectly comfortable using the terms social institutions and institutions interchangeably. May not hold true for other disciplines, may not even hold true for our graduate level sociology class, but for our intro level purposes, it's going to be just fine. Institutions are exciting and they're a core component of understanding sociology as a field. Institutions provide a stable, predictable framework for our society. They also help us regulate our everyday decisions because we understand how things work, what's expected of us, and so forth. Now, when we think about what exactly is an institution, there's some common ones. Your textbook may list 10 or 15, but your core ones include family, religion, education, the economy, and government. So we're looking for four core ideas when we think about institutions. First off, institutions are going to have norms. This means that they teach us what's an appropriate or inappropriate behavior. When you get to the classroom this morning, you know you have to raise your hand to speak. I was taught from an early age by my family to respect my elders, even when they were wrong. And I'm teaching you now that you need to like and subscribe to my channel because YouTube likes that. In fact, if you'll give me 10 likes on this video, I'll make another one. How about that? Good deal? Handshake. Institutions also provide us with stability. When I woke up this morning to go get coffee, I hopped in my vehicle. I knew I'd be driving on the right side of the road because I'm in the United States and that's what everyone else is going to be doing. Three, institutions also give us structure. In fact, let's say I got into a fender bender on the way to get my coffee. There's a clear structural process for what we would do. We call the police, they file a report, we go through our insurance, we could even go to small claims court if needed so that I got my car fixed. Finally, institutions have socialization. They have a way of teaching future generations about the norms, the expectations, and even have laws and sanctions to reinforce all of these ideas. I don't know that there's a single moment institutions became part of sociology lore, but I always like to go back to Durkheim, our first sociologist. In fact, Durkheim saw sociology as a field that would study social institutions. So it seems like a logical starting point. Now, he saw institutions as a social fact, something that is external to the individual, but at the same time shapes their experiences, expectations, decisions, and so forth. I think for Durkheim, social institutions were really the answer to the problems of a changing society. When things didn't work out right, social institutions gave us the answer to keep this whole thing running, hence me referring it to a backbone for our society. We could actually use mechanical and organic solidarity, Durkheim's ideas, as a great example of this in social change. If we're looking at more traditional societies, they had a sense of mechanical solidarity because they had shared beliefs, maybe the same religion, similar demographics. They were also selling food to each other or clothes or whatever it may be. They depended on each other for survival. They had a strong sense of cohesion because of that. As our societies change to include more urban areas and people are now using marketplaces and they don't necessarily know the people who make their food, we have regulations that start to say, hey, if you're selling food in the market, you can't add in lead to increase your profits. Because that's against the law, and here's the punishments for doing that. And so that's an important part of the development of organic solidarity in these situations. Institutions help us deal with social change. I think it's a really cool thing. And there are dozens, if not 100 plus sociological theorists who have described this idea of institutions and their work. So I hope through this video you've come to understand institutions are a core building block for understanding the field of sociology. I like them because they give us an entry point for thinking about how society shapes our individual experiences, the sociological imagination, which you always hear about in chapter 1 of your textbook. I think it's also cool too because it gives you a chance to think about bigger sociological ideas that can apply to institutions. And we actually used that in our example of mechanical and organic solidarity with Durkheim. I hope you found this video helpful. If there's a video I can make for you in the future, you let me know below. 10 likes, I'll make another video. That's my deal. I'll see you next time. Take care.